Busher of J.M. Busher Investments. Thank you, as always, for joining us, Mr. Busher. Let's start with those market movements. Some positivity coming through from your resource stocks. Financials recovering quite nicely, where late sometime last week we saw them slump by as much as 6% on the back of a weaker rand. What would you make of the rest of the market moves today?
There was a little bit of noise, I think, starting last week. Some people are attributing that to the report by the panel investigating the president's farm activities. But certainly, I think the rand has recovered. It had been very strong, I think, recently, thinking that it might test the 17, well, it did test 17 rand to the dollar when it went down to about 16.95 rands to the dollar. So certainly, I think it's flowing back. As we said last time, I think towards Christmas, you see that there's less demand in terms of selling the rand getting into dollars because most importers or companies have ceased operations. So that's very good. And you mentioned in there, in terms of the financial recovery, we saw good numbers coming from Signia. Revenue up about 9%, profit after tax 19%, whereas one of the biggest administrators, Alex Forbes, showing a little bit of a weakness in terms of their headline earnings.
Before we get into the company numbers, the price of Brent edging back up once more. Would this have to do with the economic outlook of the world's second biggest economy, which happens to be one of the biggest consumers of oil? Or does it also have something to do with the pronouncements coming out after OPEC met?
I think it's a combination of both, because remember Russia saying, well, they're not going to agree to kind of capping oil prices. But I think China also now starting to ease, COVID restrictions after some protests, and that could lead to demand of gas or oil. And certainly, I think all those would be very positive, because then if China, which is the second biggest economy, but I think possibly from a production perspective and manufacturing, China should be the biggest economy in the world, because sometimes the numbers are not shown, but certainly there is an economic superpower. And any easing or increased activity in China will certainly increase the consumption of oil, and hence you'll see the demand increasing and the price going up responding.
Company results out. Oceana, the makers of pilchards like your Lucky Star tinned fish, coming out with their annual results today. And they showed that they really got to benefit from constrained consumers moving more into affordable protein, and that, in their case, being a Lucky Star tinned fish. But what did you make overall of what they had to share to their investors in terms of an annual update there?
For the healthy population, fish is, deemed to be a better option because it's healthier. But their numbers are looking very good. Revenue up 12%, 8.2 billion. Profit after tax about 14%, and they attribute to strong performance in their fish oil and fish meals, which is also used for feeding. So certainly, I think a nice rebound there for Oceana. It has been one of the long, steady performance stock onto the JSE for a very long time. So certainly, I think those are very impressive numbers, and I think possibly coming out of the woods, we should see quite a big demand, obviously, in terms of their products as we go into the festive season. And most South Africans, international investors going into Cape Town and Durban. And that's where basically we get to enjoy the fish. Some of us will stay, inland.
No, absolutely, we do enjoy that fish indeed, Mr. Busher. Another company out with an annual update today is Nampak. So we did see that they did have lower profit margins coming through, although overall revenue was up. But they're seeing a nice, healthy demand for cans, which did help their bottom line quite significantly. What did you make of their numbers?
Well, I think it's always important, or it's always good when companies, the top line is very good. But I think for analysts and investors, they want to look in terms of the real operating profit and what goes to the shareholder, which is your earnings. Headline earnings per share down, 229 million from 402 that represents about 43% down. So I think also Nampak over the years, I think they have been battling. They were hugely in debt during the director days before he moved to Eskom. But I think it's also good to see that, their top line is up. In terms of revenue. So if they can manage their operating costs and bring in other efficiencies, I'm hoping that next year they will go back to profitability in terms of the operating profit and in terms of the earnings.
Of course, hopefully they won't be reeling from those foreign exchange issues that they attributed to part of their earnings losses there. Mr. Busher, as always, thank you very much. And I think it is the last time that you and I will be engaging ahead of the festive season. So have yourself a good rest, and we will see you early in the new year to continue with our business and economic chats. That is Mr. Joseph Busher from JM Busher Investments. And that's